Today we're flying on British Airways from Heathrow to Singapore. We'll be on board their recently refurbished 777-300ER with brand new economy seats and brand new in-flight entertainment. It's a game changer in my eyes and I'll show you why. First though, it's time to drop off our bags. As economy passengers, it's Zone C here at Terminal 5. It's busy, but this is August and slap bang in the middle of the school holidays. Everything is automated here, and with that, let's say goodbye to my suitcase. Today's flight departs from the B Pier, which offers great views of the departing and arriving aircraft. A nice way to spend the time before boarding is called. B43 is where we find ourselves and our superb aircraft. Bravo Delta was delivered in 2011 and refurbished in 2021. It's time to get on board and see what it's all about. But before we do, let's take a look at the seat map and compare pre and post refurbishment. As you can see, the main aim here is to introduce the new club suites into business class, extending the total number of premium seats on board by 10, whilst reducing the total number of seats by 43. If you look closely, the old layout in economy represents about 62% of the seats, whereas the new premium heavy configuration reduces economy down to only 50% of the seats on the plane. So is this better or worse for us? Well, economy has fewer seats and now only takes up the rearmost cabin. The problem is densification, and that's achieved by adding one extra seat per row, meaning each seat is now narrower than what it was before. So whilst the aircraft has much more space for those in business, it's at the expense of us down the back. Slimline seats, these are the ones on board the new retrofitted aircraft that we're on, and a comparison against the old ones here. The cabin feels much fresher on board with new LED lighting. Let's head to our seats, and we're right at the back today. And we've secured one of the few economy seats with just 2 seats together. The major benefit of this row in particular is being directly behind a set of 3. We have additional space that we can stretch into, and additional space to store things out of the way and out of our feet for the main flight. On each seat you'll find a blanket, a pillow and earphones within a charity donation envelope. For entertainment, the screen is brand new, brighter, higher resolution and more responsive than its predecessor. Built into the screen we now have USB-A and USB-C ports, and this is where the headphones go. There's loads of content too, which we'll come back to later on. The tray table folds in half. A big fan of these by the way, as they give you more space. It's adjustable and it's pretty sturdy. The best comfort improvement in my opinion is the armrest, which now retracts fully, meaning you can now spread between the 2 seats. This old one stopped halfway, meaning you couldn't move between the seats and share the space as a couple or a family. The headrest moves up and down and has these ears that fold into position. I prefer these to be honest than the hammock style of the previous older seats. These duo seats that we're in also have a universal plug between them, and that's under the seat. I'm unsure of the exact recline numbers, but this is in the maximum position, which I found pretty good for sleeping. Pushing back into a sunny summer evening and the very non-serious safety video. Before long we're heading out to 27 left and climbing up into the sky. Drinks and snacks first, pretzels for everyone and a brewdog for me. Wine for number 2, the white variety. Now, having sat in the last few economy rows before, I know that often the first choice meal has often run out before it gets to us. So I thought I'd try something new, and I pre-ordered a low salt meal for this flight. Special meals can be pre-ordered including low salt, and usually they're the first ones to be distributed when the meal service starts, ahead of the generic meal that everyone else will have. So what did I receive? Well, this rather good looking meal. Chicken tagine with brown rice and broccoli, in this tomato sauce, and you'll note you can add salt if you want to from the sachet that they give you anyway. It's quite a chunky piece of broccoli. There's a lemon dessert, a side salad, and a bread roll. crackers with butter rather than cheese. This travel hack I think I would recommend, you know. The food itself was really nice, and importantly, it came out hot. The downside though, as we tried this as a bit of an experiment, Morven had to wait until all the 10 rows in front of us had been served, whilst I ate mine. The standard option eventually arrived, chicken and rice, and I reckon that I win here. I think mine was better. This aircraft has Wi-Fi, which is chargeable. We're on BA after all. Messaging starts at £2.90 for an hour, or $4.99 for the 14-hour flight. You can also browse and stream from $4.99 up to $21.99, which I've come to think isn't actually that steep for the duration of the flight that we're on. Before we get some sleep, let's check out the wall of mirrors that is the rear toilets. I feel like Spider-Man in here. Anyway, as you'd expect, a toilet, but with plenty of room, which you might not expect. Probably this is, I reckon, the largest bathroom in economy in the skies. Darkness came and I reckon I slept for around 6 hours. 2.5 hours or so before we arrived, the cabin was waking up and the crew were getting the second meal ready. The second meal on this flight was breakfast, and that's in contrast to the last time that I was on this flight 9 months earlier, when it was a second evening meal. The flight lands into Singapore at 5 PM, so the second evening meal seems more appropriate to me to let you adjust with the time zone changes. This time though, I have the low salt meal, and this time it wasn't a win. Breakfast is my least favourite meal of the day, and this is what the first choice option was. Nothing substantial, but aligned to what you might expect. I, on the other hand, received this low salt breakfast, an omelette which I ate but certainly did not enjoy. Far too oily and greasy for me. 1-1 then in the low salt meal gamble. The in-flight entertainment is so far ahead of what you get in the old cabin. For a start, it actually works. The screen is much less reflective and is a much higher resolution. The content that you show on there is similar, probably the same. The old remote though, that's gone, and everything is now via the touch of your finger onto the screen. The flight map is good fun too. We're approaching Kuala Lumpur here. On our approach into Singapore, there's loads of different views and ways to see the data, something that I quite like. A word of warning though, not all the refurbished 777s get this new in-flight entertainment system. From what I can work out, only the 777-300s and non-first class 777-200s get this system during the refits, and that includes the business class seats too. It's a real missed opportunity to elevate the experience for the majority of those flying economy. A better touchscreen though does mean better games too, although it doesn't necessarily make you a better player. I mentioned charging ports and the headphone jack earlier, but one thing that is missing on this new system is Bluetooth connectivity. Now I use this little dongle that you can see plugged in that I got on Amazon, but if you don't have one of those, BA do provide headphones like these. They're not the most comfortable, so I would recommend that you bring your own that you can plug into the system to enjoy the entertainment. On our approach now, we're dodging thunderstorms of Malaysia and Indonesia to the south. So how much did we pay during the school holidays for this flight? Well, I think £241 each plus 17,500 Avios is an absolute steal, especially when compared to the cash price of over £600. We used an Amex 2-for-1 voucher to secure half price Avios, giving us a value of around 2 pence per Avios spent. These seats as a twin did set us back around an extra £70 each, but worth it I reckon for the comfort boost that you get of not having a random seatmate next to you. Approaching the runway from the north, we touched down on runway 20 right. It's at exactly this time back in the UK that my granddad, who I'd said goodbye to less than 3 days before, sadly passed away. It was only a week before when he dug out his world map and we found Singapore on there, along with Bali, my next destination. And I remember it so clearly, him showing me the countries nearby and chatting about the trip. I knew that when I left him in the hospital a few days later that I wouldn't see him again. It was a case of when and not if. And as much as I wanted to stay, we both agreed that I should head off and explore, just as he always wanted me to. My granddad loved his holidays, and some would even say that he lived for them. Jetting off around the world, he explored just like I do, and perhaps he can live through me. I like to think that somehow he was holding on until he knew that we'd landed safely in Singapore, and once he could feel us back on the ground, he took his last breath and let go. That's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching the video. I really hope this gave you some insights into the far superior BA economy on their refurbished aircraft. And hopefully by the end of 2024, the 777s will all be done and the 787s will be a good way through as well. We'll see you in the next one.